What is up, guys, and welcome back to Full Send Racing. We're going to jump straight back into it with episode 2 of F1 24, Race to Victory. So let's head straight on into it. So here we are back again with our Williams F1 career mode. As you can see, we're literally on the cusp of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We've had a couple of specialists who are available, so we'll go and set a couple goals for the weekend. So we've got all our goals set for the weekend now. Only the quality assurance and the wind tunnel engineer goals aren't available at the moment, and we've just got to reset our manufacturing expert. So we'll just go with drive 0 miles during the race weekend. I'm sure we can probably do that. But yeah, so in terms of research and development, we couldn't do much between episodes. So we had obviously the weight redistribution update, or weight reduction update, sorry, come from Alex Albon's side of the garage. I think because we've got the rear downforce, we kind of want the car to stay balanced, and we've got the resource points. So Alex isn't looking at it at the moment. We'll go ahead and do the front downforce update to the car. And yeah, again, unfortunately, they won't be available for the time or in time for the next race, but we'll just go ahead now with what we have and head on into the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Okay, so as we round out practice, again, we've managed to get a decent amount of resource points. We've got 300 towards our total, and a little more experience leveling up, which is fantastic. Every little helps towards our target of 70 by the end of the season. Just a slight creep up across the practice sessions overall for our overall rating, but yeah, let's head into qualifying. Okay, so we're now leaving the garage for the first flying lap of the weekend, actually. I haven't had the soft tyres on so far this weekend, so it will be interesting to see where we perform in comparison to our rivals. Throughout practice we were quite quick, to be honest, which surprised me, but I suppose the Williams is quite oriented about straight line speed. So as we head down the pit straight towards turn 1, we've got the ERS on and our DRS open, slamming on the brakes, and we go down the gears towards turn 1 and turn 2, trying to ride the curbs as much as we can, unsettling the rear just a tiny little bit, but nothing that we can't handle, as we go into another hard braking zone, and we just gently ease the car around. We're slightly moving away from the racing line, but not going to be losing us masses of time. We can ride that curve just a little bit, but the other one on that corner, if we'd have gone over it, we would have completely beached the car out. As I bleed the car slowly around the bank corner. Again, firing up the gears towards another harsh braking zone as we rattle down the gears and try and stick as close as we can to the curb, or else we'll run too far out towards the wall. Heading now along the middle straight, DRS open again, ERS flat out, heading down towards a tight left-hander, down the gears, very high speed section, trying to get as close to the walls as we can without risking any damage to the car. Pretty sure we've got a purple first sector for the time being. As we come down the gears one final time and just slowly ease the car around the corner. Don't want to light up the rears and smash into the wall, which is the shortest line to the line. It's P1 for the time being, but again, I'm sure like last episode, there's probably some cars that need to set some times. So we'll head back to the garage and see where we fare. So back in the garage now, and just looking down the timetable, there's still a fair number of cars who haven't set times. We've got people like Daniel Ricciardo, Lando setting personal bests in the first sector, second sector. So we'll wait and see how we fare compared to everyone else. Just going to fast forward the time a slight bit, but it's a purple sector for me in sector 1 and 2, as Max can only beat our sector 3 time. So yeah, again, Albon's up in the top 10 as well this weekend. I don't think I'm going to bother setting another lap, to be honest, because again, like last episode, if we can take as many soft sets across qualifying or into qualifying as we can, we should be able to bring them into the race and get another advantage. So we'll continue fast forwarding the time and yeah, see where we come out. I'm assuming we'll still be first. So the track did improve just a little bit across Q1, but not a major amount. We only dropped 3/10-ish or 2.5 tenths to our rivals. So yeah, pretty good effort for the start of qualifying, and we'll now head on into Q2. So again, same as last weekend, we're just gonna try and set a banker lap with our old set of tyres. If we actually look at the delta again, there's a slight 3/10 delta to new and used tyres. So because of that gap that we had to Lewis and George in the first qualifying session, I think I'll be comfortable going out on a used set for our first run just to get a banker lap on the time sheets. So as we head out for our flying lap, I'll catch you at the end of it and we'll see how far up the table we've got. So coming around the final corner now, we had a few little moments during the lap, but again it's just a banker lap, so we'll see how we've done as we cross the line and we go P1 with Albon, our teammate, just behind us. Again, potentially coming out the garage quite early compared to everyone else as we get displaced at the top by Max Verstappen, but again, used soft compound tyres as opposed to new. We had that 3/10 delta to a new set, so let's go back into the garage, strap on a fresh set of boots and see how we can go for our final attempt in Q2. So here we are then guys, our final attempt at qualifying in Q2 at least. We've got the new set of tyres on, so let's see how much we can improve in comparison to the time that we set at the beginning of the session. With DRS and DRS both activated, we're heading straight down the pit straight again, heading well over 213 miles an hour, heavy braking into turn 1, try and ease the car into turn 2 as it gets a little bit loose in the rear in turn 1, and down towards turn 3, brushing that corner just a little bit as we wash wide again. The car doesn't quite want to turn in exactly as it should, having to lift off a tiny bit, but we're still staying within track limits, not doing any excursions over any curbs as we set a purple sector in sector 1. As we now head around the bank corner, have to be patient to get the power down, but as we do, now flying towards the heavy braking zone, trying not to go over the curbs and unsettle the car, but also not drifting too wide to hit the wall. As we activate our ERS again with DRS as well, flying down at 206 miles an hour into one of the final hard braking zones. Again, try and just kiss the wall there, get as close as we can. Only 10% left on our battery, but we are about 3/10 up, losing just a little bit of time because we drained some of our battery in the middle sector of the lap. As we crawl around what feels like the final corner, choose the shortest line towards the finish line, and we cross and we are P1. So really optimizing and maximizing the straight line capabilities of our car this weekend. Hopefully we can carry that momentum into Q3, but last weekend, last episode, we kind of had the same kind of trajectory in Q1 and Q2, and then it just sort of fell off towards the end of Q3. So we'll go into it now and see how we can fare. So as we come across the line for our first banker lap of Q3, as you can see, we are slightly further down, so maybe my prediction that everyone else maybe turns up the whip just a little bit more for the end of Q3. But we'll head back, we'll set on a new set of tyres. We did use a used set just again now. So with a new set, we'll head back to the garage and go out for our final and most important run of the day. As you can see from the graph as well, we've got about a second in hand according to the tyre wear graphic here. So yeah, we'll fast forward the time just a little bit. We'll try and aim to go out around the 3-minute mark left of the session. So if we head out onto track now, it looks like all our rivals are going out too. So we'll head out and see where we can come in the Saudi Arabian qualifying. So again, as we head down into the first straight, we've got our DRS and ERS again wide open, flying down the straight, gaining a lot of time in comparison to our previous lap, almost 2/10 before we even reach the first corner. As the rear wants to step out, turn off the ERS so that we have a bit more stability through the first twisty sector of the lap, managing to stick a lot more closer to our racing line. Lots more grip from these brand new tyres as we use the curbs to our advantage to feed us round those corners. And we're already half a second up on our previous lap time with about 46% of our battery left in the tank, gaining more and more time with every corner that we pass. Heavy braking into the middle section of the lap where we've got the second DRS zone to open up and fire us down. We're going to have to turn off our ERS or else we won't have anything left for the final straight. A little bit wide on that corner compared to how I'd want to be, a lot more tighter on that turn there. Dropping just a slight bit of time if I can use my final little drops of ERS to send us down towards the final corner, going a tiny bit wide on the apex. Maybe one gear or two a little bit too low there, but as we're almost a second up on our time, we come across the line and we are in pole position for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We have really managed to utilize the straight line speed of our car to the maximum this weekend, but I suppose the points aren't won on Saturday unless it's a sprint weekend. So we'll head now into the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix itself and see how we can whether we can keep our position. So again, thanks to our qualifying performance, we were able to bring quite a few sets of softs. I think we managed to carry 2 more sets of softs into the race. So again, we should have a bit of a tyre advantage compared to our immediate rivals, unless obviously they've managed to do the same. So a one-stop race around here in Jeddah at the moment, 18 laps. So we should, as long as the tyre wear holds out, we were obviously suffering a little bit of tyre wear last weekend. We'll try our best to hold off Max Verstappen behind us. We should potentially have the straight line speed for it, but who knows with the DRS around here. So let's head into the race. So here we are then, lining up for the first time in our career on pole position. It's only taken us 2 races to get here. We're in our second race obviously for Williams. As a rookie, we're obviously massively exceeding our targets if we can hold this position. I'm sure the challenge from the pack behind us will be a lot more present compared to in qualifying. As we engage the clutch, build up our throttle, it's 5 light, and we are underway for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. A little snap of the rear as we try and get the power down, but we've managed to stay ahead of Max Verstappen, who is on the medium compound tyres behind us. Again, already building up a 6/10 gap to the cars behind. Are we going to be the straight line heroes of this race weekend, managing to sap out as much performance as we can compared to our rivals, losing a little bit of time to Max in the first sector? We definitely have a lot less downforce strapped on compared to the Red Bull behind, but that lack of downforce is also what's going to help us in these next coming sectors as we can ramp up our ERS into the middle sector of the lap as we start to drift away from Max a little bit. He's 6/10 behind again. He had managed to catch up by about a 10th in the first sector, but as we go around towards the final straight on the lap, we are still gaining time away from him. So what's going to be important now is trying to build up that 1 second margin to him so that he can not have our DRS even at the beginning of the next lap. But it seems like we've lost quite a lot of time to him in the final sector of the lap, but not enough to be concerned about for now. I think this race is going to be a massive effort into conserving our ERS energy, because that threat from behind, I fear, is going to be ever present throughout the race. As he's gaining on us just a little bit through this twisty first section. A lot more high intensity than any of the corners that we had in Bahrain last weekend. As we go purple in sector 1. Really got to be patient there to get the power down. Risk losing the rear end of the car. As unfortunately heading towards the middle DRS section, as we get quite close to the wall on corner exit. Max is definitely close enough now to gain an advantage on us, so I don't know if he's going to be this quick throughout the race. I maybe won't fight him too much, but same as last week, we'll just try our best to stick behind the faster cars ahead of us, use that DRS as long as we can stay in a 1 second gap behind them. He's not managed to make the move down into the final corner, but I suspect he will try it now as the fastest laps drop all the way down to Perez. I'm not going to fight the Red Bull too much into the first couple of corners. Just going to save that energy though for the middle sector of the lap, as long as I can stick with Max around the tight and twisty sector 1 as we ease it on the throttle, using all the curb that we can, and we're not losing any ground to him. He's not exactly sailing off into the sunset at the moment, so just a little bit dirty air though in front of us now, hampering our downforce. We don't have much to begin with, so every scrap of downforce that we can get is important, and I don't want to be cluttering into the wall like that too much throughout the weekend or throughout the race, because otherwise soon we'll need a new front wing. Obviously around here, tight street circuit, safety cars are almost inevitable as we feint left but go right to try and take Max around the outside into the final corner. If we get the old switch back on him, he's just got a lot more grip on corner exit than us, but we still have the DRS and plenty of ERS into the main pit straight. As we regain our position, cluttering over that curb and getting the power down to try and set off into the lead again, as Max again has managed to claw back quite some distance to us. Not going to fight him into the final corner. Might be a game of DRS checking with him throughout this whole race, as I go very, very deep and completely open up the door to Fernando with a massive oversteer moment. And yeah, that was pretty much my fault for losing control of the car, so hopefully for Fernando's sake he hasn't got too much damage. I feel a little bit guilty there, but we've completely lost our podium position in the space of 1 corner and 1 straight. I fear now, Max ahead of us. Got 2 cars battling, completely blocking up the tight circuit. Just gonna try and save our tyres and not slide around too much. And already in the dirty area, the 2 cars ahead, we're starting to see a bit of overheating on the engine side. So it's going to be really crucial to try and get past these 2 cars into the next turn. But the problem we have here is, as much as it's a fast track, there's a lot of chance of DRS trains being formed, so we're going to have to be quite sensible and clever with our ERS deployment here. As Fernando can't quite get past Perez. Go for a Bit of a dive down into the final corner. There's nothing going there. But let's see how we can fare down the pit straight. We've got a massive run on the two cars, absolutely creaming them on pace. As we can hopefully now get rid of that problem or overcome that slight issue that we had into the final corner, put that in the past. So about a third of the way into the race now. We've not quite managed to make the roads in that we wanted on Max, but we are coming into box this lap. So hopefully maybe we can get a pretty significant undercut on them as long as they don't do the same thing from last weekend and completely surprise us with the medium tyre strategy, which seems to be to box earlier than the soft runners. As we start to lose the rear, these tyres definitely not the best tyres for an entire race.
Okay, mate, I'd love to see a bit of aggression, but not like this, mate. Come on, let's keep it clean.
I think we might have just clipped Perez there as we lost the rear. Maybe he tried to send his nose in, but we'll see what we can do once we've got a new set of tyres on that aren't going to be giving us as much slip compared to what we've got on at the moment, with Perez diving down the inside. Kind of left the door a bit open for him there. He's not our fight at the moment. We're coming into the pits. Slow crawl at 37 miles an hour down towards our box, as we've got the Sauber crew behind us as well, attempting to make a pit stop. Held again just a little bit by the Sauber of Bottas.
That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go.
But I think outlaps now are going to be critical on this game, as we've got free air ahead of us, 8.5 seconds margin to Ricciardo in front. So let's try and get our heads down now, settle back into the rhythm. We've started to obviously make a couple mistakes on our previous set of tyres. With the intensity of Jeddah, it's a lot more easy to make some mistakes, but we'll get our heads down now and we will see where we end up after everyone has completed their pit stops. So coming out of the pit window now, we're a lap later after we've pit ourselves, and we haven't quite managed to undercut Max as he comes out on hard compound tyres though, so we still got a slight tyre advantage compared to the cars around us. Everyone else was on mediums, moving to hards. We were on softs, moving to mediums. As we set a purple sector 1, and again slowly easing round towards the back of Max Verstappen. Going to try and avoid using my ERS for the next half a lap or so, as we've got the DRS to support us in sticking behind Max. But thankfully, with everyone else boxing onto the hard compound tyres, I don't think Fernando and Perez, as long as I can stick with the back of Max, I don't think there'll be too much of an issue. Certainly if they haven't boxed in the same kind of window as we have, if they've stayed out for another lap, it's a high chance that they might be undercut by people like Hamilton and Norris behind us. So again, not fighting Max too hard at the moment. Just going to gently build our tyres back up into the race. As we set the fastest lap of the race as well, we're going to have a little go at Max into the first corner, as we give each other plenty of racing room. But he's just got, despite my tyre advantage, he's just got that extra little bit, as he clips the corner, I think, and completely comes back in front of us onto the racetrack. So I don't know what he wanted to do there, whether he wanted to yield as we beach ourselves over the curbs. We've lost a massive amount of ground to the cars behind us, but yeah, maybe now Max has a little bit of damage, so we'll have to see how his performance fares in the next couple of laps. But he probably looked like he clarted that protruding section of wall as we're getting a little bit of time on him in comparison to Perez behind us, who still will unfortunately have some DRS on us. We are gaining now back onto the gearbox of Max. No DRS down the final back straight, but we will definitely be getting a significant helping of it after the final corner, as we are within that 1 second range. Saving our ERS again for...
Great stuff. You hit that target. Really good job.
There we go. No more mighty collisions, as much as Max tried to do so to me. But yeah, just saving that ERS up for potentially later on in the race. Max doesn't want to box, so he might have got away scot-free, or maybe just has minor damage to his wing. As the car just clips the curb, we start to lose the rear just a little bit, but nothing too strenuous at the moment. Short shifting round the banked corner just to keep the rear in play. It's not a given here that Max, or myself even, are going to win the race, because we've got players like Perez and Norris right behind us who are equally as capable of winning these kind of races. So you never know with a late safety car or something. It's all just dependent on where you are on track at the time and whether you can get into the pits. Doesn't look like there's too much of a risk of a safety car at the moment. Everyone's boxed and it's kind of settling into their positions as we try and go around the outside of Max into turn 1 again. Oh, and completely have Perez just run into the backside of us.
Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 15.6 seconds.
Again, going to give Perez the racing room that he kind of refused to give me there on the final corner. Perhaps I'm being a little bit too cautious on the throttle and opening up the door for him, but a bit like in Monaco, he needs to realise when there's no space to go and attack some individuals. But now in the dirty air of the cars in front, we're losing that downforce, losing that front grip. And I think Perez are going to be playing the team game here. And trying to give as much of a defence, being the Mexican Minister of Defence of course, to his teammate Max Verstappen. Contract season for him. He's going to be wanting to seem like a team player to his bosses at Red Bull. Wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't go and attack Max too hard into the final corner in this game, as I go very, very deep on the brakes. Again, opening up the inside to Lando now, so maybe my medium compound tyres not holding out as well as the hards. When I used them in practice, the hards didn't seem like kind of race tyre I wanted to be using, but Verstappen and Perez are duking it out as I, again, lose out to Norris in turn 1 and turn 2. Probably not getting my elbows out enough, but hey, it's my second race. I'm not here to make any enemies at the moment, but I've got a gaggle of cars behind us too, as everyone slams on their brakes. Lots of sliding around going on in the dirty air. Like Mark's just said, the engine's suffering from it too. Let's try and either overtake or stay in a bit of cleaner air. Not much I could have done there, but other than completely letting off the throttle. But with cars like Hamilton and Leclerc so close behind us, we just can't afford to be losing any pace, even if it's damaging our engine just a tad. Really, really want to grab that podium if we can in our second race, because I don't know, maybe until races like Canada if we have succeeded with our straight line pace this weekend, until places like Canada, we're not really going to have that opportunity again. A few straight lines in places like Melbourne as well, but I think this weekend might be our best chance at a significant haul of points. I've got no idea how well Alex is doing behind us. Unlike last weekend, we kind of had a bit of a different battle on. We seem to be losing touch with the 3 cars ahead of us at the moment, but with the nature of this track, if they're going to want to battle each other, then they're going to have to go slower around some of these corners to try and fit. So we might be able to close up just like now. Just don't have the confidence in the rear of the car that it's going to stick if I properly floor it on the throttle. As we lock up into turn 3 with Lando just parking himself on the apex there. We just don't have the grip around the corners like the cars ahead of us do. Maybe a late lunge into a final corner could be our saving grace here, but for some reason we are losing ground to them. So try and keep the car steady now. Flat out on ERS, getting plenty of time. Swing around the outside on all 3 of the cars. Triple overtake potentially coming here. Well, we didn't quite manage to make the triple happen, but we did manage to get the double, which puts us from P4 up into P2 for the end of the race. So what a fantastic finish from us there. As in our second race, we get our first podium. So what a successful weekend for us. Driver of the day 2. There we are, taking our place on the middle step of the podium. Almost the first step as we went flying down that final straight, but unfortunately, again, trying to go around the outside on that corner, didn't quite have the confidence in the braking for the whole race there. So Max managed to just pip us to the line. We managed to hold off both Checo and Lando behind us, with Lando being the one to come out ahead of Perez. So a Red Bull 1, Williams 2, McLaren 3. As we seriously make our mark in the championship standings as well. I think we should be moving up the table now, as we're 3rd overall in the standings with our teammate down in 13th. So that massive haul of points that we just got seriously kicked us up the leaderboard. I don't think our teammate managed to get anything again this race. He's dropped down a couple places into P12, finishing 18 seconds behind us. So a decent effort from him, but again, we're seriously putting our mark in the team to become the team leader. I think if we advance now, we'll see we should potentially be maybe even 50-50 in reputation compared to our teammate, as we gain a significant chunk of experience points and driver rating, smashing our target already up into 67 driver rating in a Williams. So again, we seriously maximized our setup and our position around the track this weekend. I think getting that P1 in qualifying kind of opened up the door to us to be able to use the DRS train to our advantage, potentially securing us that podium. But just saving up that little burst of energy for the end of the race was what sealed it for us. We completely paced past 3 faster cars ahead of us. So again, ERS is certainly a massive factor in this game this year to help people around the track. So we are now 45% in recognition compared to Albon, so he's definitely losing perhaps some attention from the team bosses, as we, for the first 2 races, have made a lot more of an impression on them than he has. So maybe something about this car he's just not getting on board with, but we ourselves managing to maximize the package and get the most out of it for the first 2 weekends. So hopefully we can carry this momentum across the rest of the season. So we're back at base now, ready for a bit of a break now between the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix and the Australian Grand Prix. We managed to gain quite a few resource points across the first 2 weekends, so I'm going to leave this episode here for you guys. Thank you very much once again for watching. Please, if you have been enjoying the series so far, feel free to like, comment and subscribe. Comment down below as well any suggestions that you might have if you want to see any different content from the channel. We've got iRacing too, which I can do some videos for if that's anything you'd be interested in. But I'll catch you now again in the next episode as we head on into the Australian Grand Prix, and we'll decide how we're going to use our resource points to propel us even further up the grid. So thanks once again for watching, and I'll catch you next time.